All right, everybody, get ready. Because today, we're taking a deep dive into a topic that you guys specifically requested.
Oh, very cool.
Artificial neural networks.
ANN.
ANNs, yeah.
Right.
And before you click away thinking that this is too complicated,
Sure.
I promise it's actually a lot cooler
Yeah,
than it might sound at first.
absolutely.
There.
What I think is so interesting about this is that
Yeah.
ANNs, they might seem like this brand new thing,
Right.
but they've actually been around for a really long time.
Yeah.
Like if you think all the way back to the 1940s,
Uh,
that was like the first time that these networks really kind of hit the scene.
Okay.
And they've gone through these phases, almost
Yeah.
like waves of popularity,
okay.
and now they're back for round 3.
Round 3.
Yeah.
So why do you think they've
Yeah.
kind of gone through these cycles?
That's a great question. Our sources mention that initially they were designed to actually mimic how our brains learn.
Like literally trying to copy the brain.
Yeah, in a way, it was a pretty ambitious idea, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty complex thing.
It is. It is a testament to how complex and powerful our own biological neural networks really are.
Right.
But ANNs they're not meant to be perfect replicas of the human brain, right? They're more like
Okay.
almost like a proof of concept,
Okay.
showing that if nature can do it,
Yeah.
we can find inspiration in that
Right.
to build these intelligent systems too.
So it's like we're taking cues from how the brain is designed,
Yeah,
and then applying those principles to artificial systems.
exactly.
But how does that actually work?
Well, we'll think about it this way.
Yeah.
If you're recognizing a friend's face,
Right.
your brain doesn't analyze like every single pixel.
Right.
Right. It focuses on patterns, shapes, and features.
Right.
And similarly, ANNs, they really depend on how information is actually represented.
So the way that the data is actually presented to the network actually impacts how well it performs.
Exactly.
Oh.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a great example of this is image recognition.
Okay.
Early approaches, they just kind of fed all the raw pixel values into the network.
Just threw it all in there.
Yeah, but that was really inefficient.
Okay.
The big breakthrough came when they started extracting features like edges and textures. And these higher level representations, they allow the network to learn and generalize
Gotcha.
much more effectively.
So it's like you're giving the network
Yeah.
a cheat sheet.
In a way,
Yeah.
you're highlighting what's important instead of just overwhelming it.
Just throwing everything at it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean still,
Yeah.
even with that, with a better way of
Yeah.
representing the data,
Sure.
even with that, it just seems like it would be
Yeah.
so much information to sort through.
Well, and that's actually a big reason why ANNs are having this resurgence now.
Oh, okay.
Because they're so good at handling these large data sets,
Okay.
which traditional methods often struggle with.
It's too much.
It's almost like information overload for
Well,
those older techniques. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But ANNs, they can sift through all that noise
Right.
and extract meaningful patterns,
Right.
which makes them perfect for today's world where we have so much data.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's get into the structure of
Sure.
these networks.
Yeah.
Our sources break it down into layers,
Huh.
kind of like a
Right.
series of interconnected processing steps.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's happening in each of these layers?
So each layer is made up of these individual processing units.
Okay.
And we call those neurons
Neurons.
the building blocks of ANNs.
Right.
And each neuron takes multiple inputs, does a little calculation, and then passes the result on to the next layer.
Yeah.
It's a pretty simple process at the
Right.
individual neuron level,
Right.
but it's really powerful when you consider
Okay.
how interconnected an entire network is.
So it's kind of like a chain reaction almost, where each neuron
Right.
triggers
Right.
the next.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, but what about those calculations that are happening inside each neuron?
Okay.
It can't just be basic addition, right?
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. There's more to it.
Okay.
And that's where activation functions come into play.
Activation functions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They introduce this nonlinearity,
Okay.
which allows the network to model complex relationships that exist in the real world.
So without those activation functions, it would be limited in its ability to model those complex patterns.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It would be like trying to draw a curved line using only straight segments.
Right.
The activation functions, they add those curves and bends,
Gotcha.
enabling the network to fit the data more closely and make better predictions.
Okay, so we've got layers of interconnected neurons.
Yes.
Each one is performing a calculation and then passing those results through these activation functions.
Exactly.
Okay, so now it's starting to make sense
Yeah.
how these networks
Yeah.
learn and process information.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, and the fascinating thing is just like our brains have specialized regions for different tasks. We have specialized types of ANNs too.
oh, okay.
They're designed to tackle these specific problems with remarkable efficiency.
So we've kind of laid the groundwork here
Yeah.
for the basic structure of ANNs.
Right.
But now our sources are diving into
Yeah.
different types of networks.
Yeah.
Each with its own unique architecture.
Absolutely.
One that really stands out,
Yeah.
especially in image recognition,
Yeah.
is the convolutional neural network,
CNNs.
CNN or CNNs.
Yeah, these are a game changer for image processing. Instead of treating an image as just this massive grid of pixels,
Right.
they take inspiration from the visual cortex using local receptive fields.
Local receptive fields.
Yeah,
Okay,
my
what are those?
So imagine a small window
Okay.
sliding across an image,
Right.
and it's analyzing only the pixels within that window.
Right.
That's essentially a local receptive field.
Okay.
Groups of neurons, they focus on these small regions,
Right.
detecting things like edges or corners or textures.
Mm-hmm.
And as that window slides,
Right.
it builds up this rich understanding of the image's features.
So it's kind of like it's breaking down the image
Yeah.
into smaller,
Yeah.
more manageable pieces.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then extracting like the essence of each part.
Exactly.
But how does it then
Right.
put all those pieces back together?
Great question. So those extracted features,
Okay.
they then get passed through multiple layers, and each layer builds upon the previous one,
Okay.
creating this hierarchy of features, going from, simple edges to complex shapes and ultimately object recognition.
Now, our sources also mentioned something called pooling layers.
Yes.
In CNNs.
Yes.
So what role do they play in this?
Pooling layers, they're all about efficiency.
Right.
They act like a compression mechanism,
Got it.
reducing the dimensionality of the extracted features.
That's
It's like taking a detailed map and creating a simplified version that still captures the essential landmarks.
Right.
This makes the network faster
Okay.
and more robust to variations.
So it's streamlining the information, but preserving the key insights.
Right.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat trick.
So CNNs, they sound incredibly powerful.
They are.
For image-related tasks.
Yeah.
But are they limited to just images?
While CNNs excel at images,
Right.
they're not strictly confined to that domain.
Okay.
Researchers have actually adapted them
Okay.
for natural language processing, where you're analyzing sequences of words
Right.
to understand context and meaning.
So it's not just pictures.
It's not just pictures.
Yeah. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Speaking of sequences,
Yes.
our sources also talk about recurrent neural networks,
RNNs.
RNNs.
Yeah.
And these are the ones that are designed to handle
Right.
data where order matters.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like time series data.
Yeah. Think time series data,
Right.
like stock prices,
Right.
or natural language.
Right, where word order is critical.
Yeah, where word order is crucial to understanding.
Yeah, so unlike
Right.
feed-forward networks
Yeah.
that process information in a single direction,
Yeah, one direction.
these RNNs, they have these feedback loops
They do. They have these feedback loops.
that allow information to kind of persist over time.
Right, and that gives them a form of memory,
Right.
which is crucial for processing sequential information.
So they're not just looking at the current input.
Right.
They're actually kind of looping information back,
Yeah.
which allows them to remember previous inputs.
Exactly.
But how do they actually store those memories?
It's all about those recurrent connections.
Okay.
They feed the output of a neuron back into itself,
Okay.
creating this loop that captures information from previous steps.
Gotcha.
And that looped information,
Yeah.
it acts as a memory
Okay.
representing the network's understanding.
Right.
of the sequence up to that point.
Okay, so each neuron is kind of keeping this running tally
Yeah, in a way.
of what it's seen,
Right.
which is then influencing how it processes
Right.
the current input.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
It's pretty amazing.
But our sources also mentioned a challenge with RNNs.
Okay, yeah.
This vanishing gradient problem.
Imagine gradient problem. Yeah.
What is that all about?
This is a tricky issue
Okay.
that can limit how far back an RNN can effectively remember. As the network processes longer sequences,
Right.
the influence of early inputs can gradually fade, making it difficult to learn these long-term dependencies.
So it's like the network's memory starts to get fuzzy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could think of it that way.
Yeah.
The further back you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Which seems especially problematic for tasks like language processing, where
Context is so important.
absolutely, and that's where long short-term memory networks come in.
LSTM.
The LSTMs, yeah.
Those are the ones with the special memory cells, right?
Precisely, yeah.
Yeah.
LSTMs introduce this more sophisticated memory mechanism, allowing them to selectively remember or forget information over longer periods. They have these gates that control the flow of information, ensuring that relevant details are retained, while irrelevant ones are discarded.
So it's like they have this built-in filter.
Yeah, like a filter.
That's preventing the important information from getting lost in all that noise.
Right, and that makes them much better at capturing those long-term dependencies.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've got CNNs for image processing.
Yes.
We've got RNNs for sequences.
Right.
We even touched upon LSTMs.
We did.
It's amazing to see how each architecture is kind of tailored to these specific challenges.
Right.
It's amazing. And just when I thought it couldn't get any more fascinating.
Yeah.
We're diving into even more specialized.
This is where things get really cutting edge.
Okay.
We're talking about generative adversarial networks, or GANs.
GANs.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen some of those mind-blowing images online.
Right.
The ones that look so real.
Yeah.
You can barely tell that they're generated.
Exactly.
How do they pull that off?
So the secret sauce is in their unique adversarial training process. Instead of a single network learning from data, GANs, they pit two networks against each other.
Okay.
A generator and a discriminator.
A generator and a discriminator.
It's like this constant game of cat and mouse.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
So who's the cat and who's the mouse?
So think of the generator as the artist constantly trying to create these realistic data samples like images or music.
Right.
And the discriminator is like the critic trying to distinguish between real data and the generator's creations.
So the generator's trying to fool the discriminator.
Exactly.
And the discriminator is trying to catch the generator in the act.
Yeah, it's this back and forth battle.
That's awesome.
And that's where the magic happens. As the generator gets better at creating realistic samples, the discriminator has to become even more discerning.
Wow.
And this back and forth competition, it pushes both networks to improve, leading to those remarkable results that you mentioned.
It's fascinating how this adversarial training can unlock such creativity.
Absolutely.
But it's like they're inspiring each other.
Yeah.
To reach these new heights of realism.
It's a testament to how competition can really drive innovation, even in the world of AI.
Yeah.
Now, shifting gears a bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about another interesting type of ANN.
Okay.
Autoencoders.
Autoencoders. Yeah.
Yeah. Our sources highlight these as a powerful tool for learning these efficient data representations.
Okay, back to data representation.
It's data representations. Yeah.
So how do autoencoders kind of approach this?
Imagine an artist trying to capture the essence of an image using only a few brushstrokes.
Right.
That's what autoencoders aim to do. They compress data into this smaller, more efficient representation.
So they're like data compression algorithms, but powered by neural networks.
Exactly. Yeah. They learn to encode the input data into this compressed form, often called a latent code, and then decode it back to the original form.
Okay.
The key is that this latent code, it captures the most important features of the data.
So I'm starting to see the power of this.
Yeah.
By learning to recreate the input from this compressed version.
Right.
The network is essentially identifying what's really the core essence of the data.
Precisely.
Right.
And this compact representation can be incredibly useful for tasks like dimensionality reduction.
Okay.
Where you want to simplify data while preserving its key characteristics.
Makes sense, but our sources also mention that autoencoders can generate new data samples.
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
Once an autoencoder has learned a good latent representation, it can essentially work in reverse by feeding it random noise as input. And decoding it. You can generate these new beta samples that share similar features with the original data.
Wow. So it's like the network is learning the underlying rules of the data and then using those rules to create something entirely new.
It's like an AI artist with a unique style. That's a great way to put it.
This deep dive has been incredible.
It has.
We started with the fundamentals.
We did.
Of neurons and layers.
Yes.
Then we explored these specialized networks like CNNs and RNNs.
Yeah.
And now we've ventured into the cutting edge. With GANs and autoencoders.
It's amazing to see how these networks are revolutionizing everything. From image recognition to language processing.
It's really incredible stuff.
To even artistic creation. And as research continues, we can only imagine what the future holds.
To all our listeners out there, if you're feeling inspired to learn more, don't be intimidated by the complexity. Remember the basic ideas behind ANNs? They're surprisingly intuitive.
They are.
Just keep exploring.
Keep exploring.
And you might just unlock a whole new world of understanding.
Absolutely.
So until next time. Keep those neural networks firing.
Keep those neural networks firing.
And keep diving deep.